Hi, I'm Susan Pierce Thompson, and welcome to the weekly vlog. This week someone wrote in with a question. Her name is Frances, and her question was that she, as a food addict, feels like she's either on her program or off her program, that there's no in between, that it's an all or nothing black and white phenomenon. And she's wondering why, and if she's the only one, and what she can do about it. So, Frances, this is a great topic, and it has to do with something psychologists call the what the hell effect. And I'm serious, that's the real name for it. There are papers published on the what the hell effect. And the what the hell effect goes something like this. You're dieting, and then something happens that leads you to break your diet, and you think, what the hell, I've already blown it, so I might as well gorge my face and I'll start on Monday. So the idea is, if you eat one piece of pizza at a party, you think, what the hell, you eat the whole pizza, and then you think you're gonna start again tomorrow, or start again on Monday, or start again next month, next year, whatever. And this is really common. And the higher someone is on the susceptibility scale, the more likely it is that they experience this. So more moderate eaters and people who are more moderate on the susceptibility scale tend not to experience this. But if you're really high on the susceptibility scale like I am, I have experienced more than my fair share of the what the hell effect in my life. And starting bright line eating can lead someone to fall into a cycle of being on the bright line eating plan and then falling off, on, off. And this happened for me at the beginning. So I spent 6 months really perfectly sticking to my bright lines when I first started. This was back in 2003, long time ago. And then I ate and binged my brains out on and off for about 3 months. And in those 3 months, I went from a size 4 to a size 24. Yeah, most painful time of my whole life. And it did feel like my eating maybe wasn't worse than it had ever been, but pretty close. And there are reasons for this. In the brain, what happens is when you're a food addict, you've got some neural pathways that are established that are really entrenched. And then when you start bright line eating, you put a dam up and you don't let any neural energy down those pathways anymore, and you start to create some new neural pathways in the brain, new fiber tracks, new synapses, and your brain rewires for recovery. And the thing is that those old riverbeds are still there, those old fiber tracks are still there. So when you start to let neural energy down in that old path, it sort of turns into a torrent. Like it's like, oh yeah, I remember how to do this, and whoosh, off to the races again. What I would like to focus on here is the psychological reasons for this, and I think it has something to do with a dieting mentality as opposed to an identity shift mentality. So the thinking of the what the hell effect is, I'm on a diet, I'm trying to lose weight, oops, I blew it, well, I've blown it for today anyway, whatever scorecard I'm using in my mind to keep track or whatever, it's all ruined for today. And so I might as well take this opportunity to eat all those foods that I'm going to be depriving myself of in the future. And, I know I'm going to be good then, so I have an opportunity now to get it all in, and I'm going to eat all that stuff, and then I'll get a fresh, clean, perfect, pristine start in the future, tomorrow, Monday, whenever. And that's a dieting mentality. And the alternative to that is a mentality that thinks of bright line eating as a deep identity shift, more akin to becoming a vegetarian for ethical reasons than akin to going on a diet. So let's talk about vegetarianism a little bit, because it's a dietary change, but it tends not to lead to the what the hell effect. When someone's vegetarian for ethical reasons, and then they eat some meat on a one-off occasion for whatever reason, maybe, I don't know, you can think of your own scenario of why they would choose to eat some meat for whatever reason. It tends not to lead to binging on meat and to, well, I've blown it now, so I might as well eat all this carcass that I can, and I'll go carcass free on Monday. That's not the thinking, right? And the reason is that being a vegetarian for ethical reasons is an identity thing. It's this is who I am and what I believe, And therefore, if I deviate from it a little bit, I want to make sure not to deviate too far because I don't resonate anymore with that pathway. That's not who I am. That's not what I do. So in bright line eating terms, doing this is, it's becoming a person who doesn't eat sugar and flour anymore, who doesn't eat all day long anymore, and who doesn't abuse themselves with food anymore. And that identity shift is not something we can cajole ourselves into or talk ourselves into. It's built brick by brick, day by day, one day at a time, from doing bright line eating and feeling at our deepest core that this is our path in life. And as we orient to our bright line eating path with that kind of framework, that this is who I am, so it filters into our language. So we don't say, oh, cake, oh no, I can't eat cake, I can't have that. I can't have that is I'm on a diet right now and that's not on my diet. I can't have that. You hear that? It's a deprivation thing. Instead, the identity place is, oh, I don't eat sugar. No, thank you. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat that. Do you hear the difference? No, thank you. I don't eat sugar. No, thank you. I don't eat that. I don't eat cake. And again, it's not something you talk yourself into. So you'll just notice over time that your language will shift. And so when you start to see that difference, you'll go, oh. Another difference is when people are dieting, they say, I was really good today. Oh, I'm being really good lately. I was good today on my plan. Well, saying I was good today means I'm someone who eats crap, and today I did a good job by not eating crap. It's actually like saying with your words that you're completely separate from the identity of someone who eats well, because I was good today. I, who typically is not good with food, was good today. So think about the identity, and in particular, in terms of action steps for you right now, Francis, because I really relate to the on again, off again, on again, off again thing. And to get out of that, I would like to invite you to bring more awareness to the point of break, the point where you have eaten something that's off your plan. I feel like that's a point where we often numb out and throw our hands in the air and surrender responsibility. And it feels like a relief to do that. Oh, well, right now I'll just eat. Like now I'm in eating mode. I would like to invite you to use a tool that I offer in my Bright Line Eating Bootcamp, which I believe you've participated in, Francis. And it's the least often used tool and the most powerful tool in the whole arsenal. And it's the Permission to Be Human action plan. So in that moment of break, the moment that you first have awareness, that's when you become responsible, is when you become aware. That's a great phrase. Check it out. When you become aware, you become responsible. In that moment of awareness, when you first become responsible, whip out that Permission to Be Human action plan and fill it out. Now, for anyone out there who's watching who hasn't done the Bright Line Eating Bootcamp yet, I want to share with you a little bit about what I'm talking about bringing consciousness to that moment of break and what it means to have a break from bright line eating that is adaptive and helpful and effective, as opposed to maladaptive and unhelpful and ineffective. So in the extreme, the most maladaptive, unhelpful, ineffective type of break is the one where we say, what the hell? We binge our brains out and we eat and eat and eat, beat ourselves up about it. It takes a long time for us to get back on track, and when we get back on track, it's only because we got so exhausted from the binging and the self-harm that we were finally ready to throw in the towel and try again, and we start over from the beginning, and we never analyzed what all that was about or what happened. That's the most extreme form of maladaptive breaking that there is. In contrast, there's a way to take every single bite that we eat that's off our plan and put it to good use in our lives. And I want to propose to you that our entire success with bright line eating hinges on our willingness to practice this and adopt this new approach to breaking the bright lines. Because lots of people lose weight and then they gain it right back. And my question for you is, what happens at the point of that V? You're losing weight, and then something happens and you start to gain it right back. This is the point where everything hinges on. What's going on there? Because if we lose weight and then we break, and then we figure out what that was about, learn the lesson from it, and get back on plan quickly, we keep our weight off and we strengthen our system and steel it against future maladaptive happenings, and we make ourselves more likely to keep our weight off forever. I want to tell you that in 12 and a half years, I have broken my bright lines a lot. Now, there are people in 12-step programs for food addiction, and I know them, who've not had a single break from the bright lines in 40 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. I know them. They're wonderful. God bless them. Not my story. Not my story. And I have learned so much from each time that I've crossed the bright lines. And I feel like my program now, my Bright Line Eating program, is flexible, like the houses in San Francisco that are built out of wood because San Francisco has earthquakes. And so those houses sway, they don't crumble. There are no houses in San Francisco made out of brick. They don't build out of brick in San Francisco because San Francisco is prone to earthquakes. And building out of brick is foolish because that house will crumble in an earthquake. So they build out of flexible material. Francis, build your Bright Line Eating program out of flexible material that will sway. Because as a food addict, you're prone to earthquakes. Shit's gonna happen. You're gonna break your bright lines. Odds are. There are people who don't, God bless them. But for the rest of us, we're gonna have a break at some point. And what do you do in that moment? There are 4 ways that a break can be adaptive and helpful. Speed, self-love, social support, and self-examination. The 4 S's, okay? Speed. Once you become aware, you become responsible. In that moment, how quickly do you start to journal and fill out your permission to be human action plan and address these 4 things, okay? Speed. So minutes, hours, as opposed to weeks, months. A day is kind of, half a day. Try to get it down shorter. Try to get it down to 10 minutes or an hour. Like the minute you become aware, start to take action to make sure that the break that you're in the middle of having is an adaptive, helpful one that you learn from. This is the key to not going off the rails, okay? So speed. Second one, self-love. Do you talk to yourself nicely? Do you treat yourself like a best friend who's going through a hard time? None of the, like that. Some people really beat themselves up in their heads over this stuff, like say nasty, nasty things. Self-love. Number 3, social support. How quickly, Francis, I know you're in the Bright Line Eating community. How quickly can you post? How quickly can you talk with your mastermind group? Do you have a buddy? How quickly can you reach out to them? Rally social support. You are not alone. Almost all of us experience this. And then finally, self-examination. Write about what were the thoughts that lead you to believe your saboteur that led you into that break. There was some kind of thinking going on there that was not helpful. Write about it. Write about, were you using your tools leading up to this? Were you writing down your food the night before? Were you using your nightly checklist sheet? Write about how you feel now. Write about what you could do differently next time. Write about that thinking that preceded the break and what you could say to yourself next time that would be adaptive. Write it on a note card. Start collecting a stack of note cards to review daily. These are the things to say to myself when that saboteur is talking me into a break. So, Francis, it's not the easier, softer, looser path to get back on track from this stuff. It takes some effort. But if you're willing to examine the point of the break and start to do differently so that you don't just go off the rails and let your weight climb and, say, what the hell, you really can get out of the cycle. I promise. I'm a 10 plus on the susceptibility scale, and over the years I've gotten to the point where when I have a break, it's a learning experience and I'm gentle with myself, and I find that It's quick, it's short, and afterwards, I'm stronger for it. You can get there too. So that's the end of this weekly vlog. Thanks for watching. If you have a question that you would like me to address, go ahead and email it in, susan@brightlineeating.com. I would love to talk to you. I'll see you next week.